So every once in a while, I forget. I need to kind of do this from this perspective, from truly not doing anything like, give somebody the benefit of the doubt, give parties the benefit of the doubt. What would I do if I were another party? Then every once in a while, you have to actually have this whole thing of, okay, well, from the point of view of the deep right. So we are the people who it's like Alex Jones writers, will drop comments. We were there when alt-right was a blog spot. That it was a blog. It was the blog for the National Policy Institute that Richard Spencer, because he was a rich guy, he started an institute, and he would have people talk about all kinds of ideas. They weren't all necessarily just guys throwing Romans. That's the whole issue. He had people discussing very, very, very real things that were very important, and some of these were topics that had once been a topic that the left had concerned about. But the left, so this is one of the key things. How did the left lose so much? One of the key things that happened is with the Obama period, there was this fundamentally, the Pentagon became totally, completely, and thoroughly embedded throughout almost every level. And like some type of network of people who all work within, like the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, Department of Army Intelligence, Department of Army Intelligence. And so the kind of these famous 13 or so organizations that they became, the Democrats then also became kind of dependent upon these benefactors of international relationships, and one of which has been sort of shown out that this is one of the ones was Qatar, and how members of the squad were being flown on the government dime on like army jets or something to Qatar, and that Donald Trump was like, no, you can't use the armed forces, materials for this kind of thing, and
wait, yellow lights are flashing.
That was perfect timing. All right. See, I should have just gone. I keep just being like, no, you're gonna get in trouble. I totally am still that kid, and I should have just gone over there. Look at that. Isn't that cool? That's now the whole setup for the Amazon waterway. Look at how dope it is, dude. Usually I would shoot it over there where that other digger is. But yeah. And when this part of the slough is still there, it's like they're still taking parts of it apart. I'm figuring maybe this is something that's going to be, they're going to wait on, or maybe you see, I saw these guys. Oh, and they were just, you see, I should have just done it. I should have just gone over there. I get too scaredy cat about the authorities, That's why it's like, that's easy, because I tend to have really a moderate streak at my base, I'm sure they're doing that for some good reason. It's really like that. I'm that guy at work, actually, that I'll see something set up in some funny but very particular way, and I'll pick it out, and it took me a little while, but I picked up on it, like, leave it alone, because probably somebody meant to leave it that way. And it's just one of those things that throughout working, people who've worked with me, like I also will say, it seems you have a plan, and that's it. And you go, oh, you got a plan here. And that's all I do. And then they do whatever they're doing. Like, I really figured out how it's like, no, people know what they're doing a lot of times. They might not be doing it fast, but they might be organizing it in a way that you wouldn't think of, or you wouldn't put it in that pattern the way that, in that pattern. They wouldn't organize it that way, but that's how they're going to organize it and then hammer it out. And there's some people who I've realized, like, oh, okay, what looks like it takes a longer time, actually, it's that they're set up, once this is set up the way that they're doing it, it is extremely efficient. And that's, and so it's taken me, that's how working is. You learn those patterns, from other people. And you adapt. You have to adapt by adapting to your environment. And so the Democrats, with especially things like CNN, and the Democrats becoming closer and closer with like CNN, MSNBC, CBS, that they started to, and then they started to have more and more charismatic type of people, and it was like the young, charismatic, news-hungry, news-savvy people who were watching, especially TV Funny Man. Back when TV Funny Man was a funny guy, TV Funny Man was a boon for a lot of these news agencies, because the news agencies got to sort of play this role that they were just telling the story the way it is, and Funny Newsman would joke about that, and then he would have some of these people on, and Funny Newsman and straight, like, laced news person would all, have a good time, and it worked for a while. It totally worked for a while. There was even a lot of it that was rather genuine. There was a degree, to which it was kind of genuine. But, of course, this all got played out, the post-Obama period, and the latter end of the Obama period really showed how played out a lot of this was. And a lot of us who had seen all of this naturally seem to happen in entertainment were like, okay, this is kind of contrived now. I get it. You guys are all friends, okay, it's a bit, Obama's got to kind of pull us out of the fire here. Come on now, and it didn't happen. He didn't deliver. And a lot of us who understood from the Obamacare fiasco were getting like, no, this is built into it. And by the time he got to his second administration, a lot of people who had voted for him and were all about, like, thinking that he was some big deal or he was going to be a big deal, it was over. We were tuning into this guy named Alex Jones. Because though this guy said some pretty crazy things, now and then he would say something that you've heard from a totally credible source that was so cool. I swear, crows are so cool. Love you guys, dude. Oh my gosh, this I love when you see like a woman who's got like a car full of dog. There's just like dog heads all over the place, and you're just like, oh my god, how many of those beasts do you have stuffed in your car with you? They're like standing on her, like sticking there. One's in the two are in the passenger seat somehow, like, you don't even understand it. I love that. This is a good day. It's a good day. See, it's low budget. Look at that. See, free movie. Look at that. Birds. Look at the birds. Oh my god. Free movie. Look at that. That was pretty cool. And right on cue, so I could give you guys content. Wow, yeah, I mean, they're really going at it. Like, they're all over the place. Like, the crows are they're really showing off moves. This is actually pretty cool to see. I wonder if there's it's totally blue here. We had really high winds. So I'm wondering if, because I don't see anything way up there, anything flying really high. So maybe it's got really high winds above us or something. And that's got them playing around and doing stuff at lower altitudes, they get really good air, and stuff. I don't know, I've been thinking about that a lot. The way that EVE Online has me thinking a lot about flight. But anyway, in a different sense than just a plane, like birds, the way birds do things, like why birds do the things they do. So something, I was rolling this around, like how this timeline went on, how the progressives move into the whole scene, starting in like 2000, really, that they're propelled, it's 2006 or so, but it's really that they get propelled, it's 2008, 2009, 2010, that's the real, like when they jump off, like they're like here and there in the early 2000s, but it's once you get to 2000 double digits, that's when the progressives, they really take off. Maddow becomes a part of the MSNBC bunch, and it's like a whole new voice is now being used politically, and then you start getting like the feminists who hate Baby It's Cold Outside, and my whole thing with that, the reason, here we go, from the deep right. This was one of the very first videos that a lot of people saw on my channel that I just had to put my dig in on that, because it was one of these things that the way that it was being characterized by these activists, where I was like, well, no, this rather wholesome song is being characterized as something lurid and really depraved by the activists. And this was a pattern that some of us started to see, or some people started to see about activists from the left, always impugning that which is somewhat traditional with some kind of lurid and depraved reason for it. And so I really started to get into this. I said, no, the activists are always like this. They always cast malign on that which is good. And they really, it really starts to get to this point where you're like, okay, if you know anything about these times in this song and the things being said in the lyrics, this would be actually, an extremely tame song by almost any standards of any genre at the present time, outside of what was happening in maybe gospel and soul music and like kind of the recreation of soul, with like Amy Winehouse and the Daptone bunch and a bunch of other people out of LA. That also were kind of a sound of a neo-traditionalist view of how people should court one another. Being that this is a Gen X / millennial era type of music thing going on. This is 2010s, 2011, 12, 13, 14. And so the whole thing with Baby It's Cold Outside, that really got to me, because I saw it ahead. I saw it way ahead. I'm like, no, understand this. This is also one of the most wholesome Black American Christmas songs that was a hit for over a generation, that duets would sing this all the time. And it was like this considered kind of this old classic. Even though it was solidly, it was probably a hit sung by Black people, written by Jewish guys who were living over in Harlem, or in Brooklyn. And inherently American. It's a Christmas song that somehow was this brilliant romance song about Christmas, sung by Black people, made a hit by Black people, written by a Jewish guy in Harlem or Brooklyn. And that's America, and that's the way it goes. And that's the wonderful, That's the wonder of our nation, is that that's what makes hits. And so I was thinking about this I was like, that's the whole point, is to attack something that people will want to cast this malign on it as this horrible song, and they'll say it'll be some crooner, one of the white crooners of the Yankee states or something. And, and people will be like, see, that guy sung that song, and that song upholds, and then all the isms and all the autries and all of it. Rather than, no, the song is actually associated with these two black singers who sung together during the jazz era. This time, it was written by a Jewish guy. So fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You need to go back to your college dorm and shut the hell up. The Democrats have now embraced this type of level of political understanding to the point that it's now they're being mocked with it constantly. Like, how do you mock a person who would fall into this category of a relatively low information, especially a low level of historical cultural understanding? They don't read liner notes. They don't want to be mansplained to about the history of Motown. They're only going to listen to like some black woman with dreadlocks on YouTube talk about the history of Motown. So, because they don't want to have any autries or isms or any obias, that might confuse their mind, because that's what they do. Mansplaining, especially mansplaining, somehow has some kind of superpower or something that I don't quite understand. Because if it worked, people would be behaving a lot more rationally. But that lack of, especially the cultural historical understanding, has shown through in a way that it's like, okay, I get it. The Black Panthers are a marketing tool for your party. Got it. You guys really don't get what you're playing with. Like, you don't understand this ideology. You weren't there. You didn't have a mom involved in that shit. You're like, you guys don't get this. Like, you can't play with things like this. And so ever since I really started to, and that was way back in like 2010s, 2011s, 2012s, I started to kind of get this, because in a way I was starting more and more to have problems with a lot of the Democratic Party stuff that I had been raised with. I was having a real hard time, like, okay, you guys know what the objection to your stances are, because that's the big thing. That stood out more than anything, now that I think about it. At a certain stage, this idea of, why people are against you on this, right? And then to know what are the best arguments, who are the great minds of the day, that at some point you're going to have to refute this person, in some public forum or way. And I guess I was thinking, I'm like, oh no, you're thinking of the world too much, like Donahue's still around someplace. But as time's gone on, no, it totally worked out like that. Where they had to skew the way Google worked now that it works upside down and backwards and is the nadir of the product you want, just so that they could hide political debates that they had lost. And I'm like, that doesn't help you though. That won't help you. People will figure you out. That's the issue with debates. And like, yeah, it really is, I get kind of caught up at a certain point where I'm like, okay, if you want to win, really you want victory, you want, politically to be the fucking, people have to ask you, how things are going to get done, or I don't know what it is that you're looking for, but you want the win. I'm like, well, at some point you're going to have to understand how to even sell the product and service. Who are you selling it to? And so now you guys, the Democratic Party, you guys don't really get you're trying to sell a variety of military conflicts and then potential ones that already various Democrats have mentioned, other countries and other almost general ideologies that you're planning to do something about or to. That's its own thing, that you're kind of bequeathing conflict, not war, but some type of conflict with some opponent in the near future. But the problem, though, is so many of you are older baby boomer females that, and Gen X females, that it's like, no, you have to sort of have a lot of males that come across almost like football hooligans, or come across like hard laborers or something like that, who you could say, and we will face down this opponent. Like, you guys don't have that. No, so nobody in the species would recognize this as you're a strong party that can actually deliver. This is more of something that people are, anybody who is politically savvy across the world, and I really mean outside of Western Europe especially, will look at this and be like, okay, I see. Who votes, what is, when people talk about their party, who are they talking about? Somebody would be like, women, older women, women in general. Okay, so it's the female vote. Okay, got it. All right. So what we're seeing here are these speeches when they're trying to kind of point out, here's how we'll manifest our glorious political, manifestation. And it sounds very much like a Taylor Swift song. That it's a lot of kind of empty statements about how good I feel about myself, and with dancers and everything, and the one pop star that they seem to have. I think for a minute they had John Legend, but I don't think that's going to pan out anymore, if I remember correctly. Didn't something happen with him recently? I don't know. And so, not going to be Usher. Probably not going to be Bieber. Then there's that. The weird issue of entertainers and the Democratic Party. And that there's no way around that one. That was one that takes, you just have to really have an understanding of Americana. And that's one I couldn't even be able to explain to people, really. You just got to know something about Americana to recognize that one. Because with that, the deal was, somebody like me, I just had this, like, American wisdom, from my culture to know, like, you shouldn't require this many actors to sell something. Plus, then there's this. When your people go back to the point where these were colonies when you arrived, you have this understanding of Americana to know actors are dirtbags. So the whole issue of these people arguing for things that are political and are going to include especially military spending and things like that, you just get what you're dealing with. Okay, no, these people don't want to make movies they want to make movies that kind of are about the war that's happening because that's going to be a cash cow for them. They don't understand a world with real prosperity, and they would have to pay the writers better. Plain out, they would have to probably pay the writers better, or they would have to hire generally a whole new stock of far more superior writers than they have right now. Oh shit, this totally reminds me. Ooh, what do we got here? Oh yeah, this is a good one. Hold on, I know. This time I won't. How about I just do this? There we go. This will even work better because now I could put all these things into there. There we go. And let's see here. This is. Yeah, I was looking up the original book by Marcuse, and this came up as a very, and I looked through, like, I think the chapters by Alistair Elder, and and so I was like, oh, it sounds like a good one, because there's some things I want to be able to name a little more clearly. Yeah. All right, talk to you guys later.